Like a vice, his mind.
It is like a vice, much like the relationship between Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban up until the last couple of years, from what I've been able to read the last weeks.
I like to think of it as a golden vice.
A golden vice.
Vice. So like it can clamp down on some stuff, but it's a soft hold.
Soft. Danny, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
I don't know, man.
Listen, it's such a shame. Such a shame.
It's just such a shame. When was the last time you were this disappointed, Peter?
Well, I'm not even disappointed. I'm disappointed in myself for not being in a relationship with Nicole Kidman. More than anything.
That is fair. I think that's a fair statement.
Maybe
so real talk. When would you have made the opportunity to make a move on Nicole Kidman?
I'm just really hard on myself, Danny. I'm just really hard.
Knowing that you've thought about this for many hours, what would a first date with Nicole Kidman and Peter Cosimo look like?
Well, I don't know. A woman's got to chat me up. Like, I can't.
You got to be wined and dined.
I got to be wined and dined, baby. I need to feel loved and attractive.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously she's the breadwinner here. Like, there is no question.
There is absolutely no question about that.
Is that going to be a problem for you, Peter?
Can your masculinity take it?
No, I've been like the non-breadwinner before, so like it's not an issue. Yeah. Is Kenneth Branagh from Australia or is he British?
Who?
I'm trying to get more in tune with Australian like celebrities. So by you saying who, I assume he's not Australian.
Man, I don't know anything about Australian celebrities. I am not in touch with that at all.
That's Kenneth disappointing, honestly.
Kenneth what?
Kenneth Branagh. Branagh. He's like a classical actor and director.
No, he's British.
Good.
Good. You didn't want him anyway. He's from Belfast. So he's not British. Apologies.
No, he's Irish. Oh my goodness. Irish. I'm really sorry, Kenneth, all other Irish people.
I will get a pass because I had no idea who he was. So
there's tons of Australian like celebrity actors, Peter.
Yeah. Don't you think you should aim a little lower? Just going straight for the top.
Yeah, probably should. But man, Nicole Kidman and Keith, you guys
like Naomi Watts. Like, are we talking? Is that?
Naomi Watts? Yes, that's right. She is Australian. Good to know. I have to figure out how to get to Australia.
So the only tier I think above Nicole Kidman, personal preference, is Cate Blanchett. Yeah.
Yeah, she's wonderful. She tells wonderful stories about Angela Lansbury too.
Another tick in her favor.
Mm-hmm. I do love Angela Lansbury. Anyway,
let's start the show. Dickie, leave it in, take it out. I'm sure no one will be surprised by any of this.
Sitting there giggling.
I've got a new box under my arm with Tomb Kings and Men of Britonia. So let's set the tone listening to the one and only. We've got to that old world charm.
G'day, you saucy sausages, and welcome to episode 56 of That Old World Charm. The full triumvirate is in attendance. The charmed ones are here. I am Phoebe, yes, much to the chagrin of the others. Danny, my baby, my sugar, my honey, how you doing, brother?
I'm here, Adam. I'm here, and I'm excited to celebrate Peter today.
Yeah, we will celebrate
his
Peter
worst
today.
Nightmare.
It is. He loves doing well at events, but he hates the recognition. He's
I never
so much
events other than the times I have.
Yeah. It's almost like there was a gap where you didn't play rank and flank games where you didn't do that well. And then you came back to rank and flank games, and all of a sudden you're like, oh dear, I'm doing well again. This is horrible. And yes, Peter's here also. You already heard him.
That's me.
We are here to interview Peter on his recent run at the SBOT. What was it actually? Was it an SBOT titled event? What was the name of the tournament?
It was Squarebase Toronto. It was the third one they've done. Adam, you were at the first one. That
won the first one. First and last win
for 8th edition. The final 8th edition tournament was the first Squarebase TO tournament. So
little did I know the cliff I was standing upon at that moment. Just all downhill from there, baby. But yeah, we're going to be interviewing Peter about his run with Orcs and Goblins in a very interesting, very straight up and down list with a lot of nuance to it, actually. And then we're also going to be doing a second part, as we usually do. We're going to be answering a bunch of Patreon questions. We also might be quizzing Danny on his re-entrance back into the Dark Elf realms and talking about what they might be moving and shaking with into the current meta. If they've got much going on, because there's been a lot of, talk around some of the Renegade factions at the moment, because the same event that Peter did well in, a Skaven player playing literally just core points of Skaven and characters also did extremely well. The best thing that guy chose to do was dodge Cathay. So well done to him. He obviously knew better than you, Peter. He knew much better than you.
Way smarter.
Much better generalship right there. But anyway, Peter, tell us about this event. How many players, how many rounds, and then paint us a picture of your list.
Sure. So there was, I believe, 46 players that had signed up for the event. And I believe 44 actually ended up playing. We had 45 listed, but one was the ringer, Val, who was also the TO. Val, of course, being from Square-Based podcast and of course, a great friend of ours. In general, it was a 5-round event using not the new Square-Based comp, but using just like the normal Square-Based FAQ and the Renegades pack. Mm-hmm. It was a 2,200 point event instead of 2,000 points. Cool. Just to give people a little bit of extra toys to run with. However, you were still capped at having 1,000 points in characters and a max character size of 500 points. So you couldn't get a big juicy dragon or anything like that. So you just had a few extra points to play around with. The pack itself, the FAQs were mostly pretty stock standard. I think the only major change that anybody would take of any note was that the Green Knight, they elected to say that he could not charge on a turn he came in. But he could still move and do all his other jank. And the missions were pretty interesting. Val went with a mission pack that more heavily favored the secondary objectives than the base match play guide did. So this was using the match play guide for most of the things in it, for army comp and things like that. However, there was this addendum that secondaries for each of the missions would count for up to a 3 victory point swing in a 20-0 scenario. And you could get an additional single battle point swing if you managed to score a secret objective, like the ones found in the back of the match play guide. As for secret objectives, you got to pick 6 of them, and you had to write them into your list, and you could only ever use one of them once per tournament. So once you used one, you couldn't use it for the rest of the event, regardless of if you succeeded or not.
I like that. I think it's cute. Adds a little bit of X factor. You got to pick the right ones with the right opponents, and choosing wrong is just another skill point of generalship. I think it's good.
Yeah, and there are some small problems with it because the no 2 secret objectives are the same. And they're as written because of that. Some of them give you more points than others because some of them are easier to accomplish than others. Yeah. But that said, it was hard. It wasn't a guaranteed thing. I achieved my secret objective in 5 of my 6 matchups, and the one I didn't was the one I lost. So just to put that into perspective. So with all that in mind, looking at the event and the 2,200 points and trying to figure out what to play, A few things went through my mind. One was I wanted to play an army that I knew. And I didn't want to fly with an army because I was going to Toronto, which is a 12-hour drive away. I was planning on flying, so it was only going to be 2 or 3 hours. But regardless, I didn't want to pack anything with me. I just kind of wanted to grab an overnight bag since I only had like the minimum amount of time possible to go and then come back and still be home to take care of my kids. Mm-hmm. So originally I was going to run Cathay because Val had a Cathay army being commissioned, and he was curious for someone to run it for him. And so I was like, no problem. You don't have to twist my rubber arm for sure. So I built out a list based on the models that he purchased. However, they weren't going to be ready on time. So then I started swinging back and forth between Warriors of Chaos, which I know very well. It's probably the army I've played the most. Mm-hmm. And a couple other things. Empire I looked at briefly, but I couldn't get my hands on enough Outriders to run this City State of Null list that I wanted. And then at the end, I kind of landed on I either wanted to play Wolves of the Sea because I didn't feel like Grand Army Warriors of Chaos was strong enough with how much pressure was being put on those secondary objectives.
Yep.
Because Grand Army, it's a little bit harder to put to grab objectives late game and do something like that with them.
It's actually an interesting thing you just mentioned there because when you stack the secondary objectives that high, it actually disincentivizes things like the Warriors of Chaos Grand Army, where you kind of end up being one of the most elite armies in the game, and then if you just have one or two bad turns, you still win, but then you don't have the unit strength to actually hold anything at the end. Yeah. So bring up a good point. Like you wanted to go Walls of the Sea to get more Marauder Horsemen, maybe a brick or two of Marauders in there.
Well, it was more for the ambushers. I really liked the ambushing Marauder Berserkers so that I could keep my guys off the board for longer. Yeah. The big brick of Marauders is something that's hard to move, so you can sit them on an objective for a long period of time. You can even take a small unit of Warriors of Chaos, so you get that the challenge. So you're also helping yourself with that go first mechanic. With the challenge.
It brings into light the fact that the match playbook is working. Like adding objectives to the game is working. We've started the first part of this edition of the game was really just killer, no filler. Like everyone just built in as much savagery as they could. And now we actually have to ask questions of ourselves in list design. And I think that's amazing. That's really, really good to be in that place.
And I'm burying the lead here, but I say all this, and then the army that ended up winning the event was Warriors of Chaos, Grand Army. So maybe I should have just stuck to my guns.
That doesn't mean it was right for you. That means that was right for that individual, who has their skill sets, who has their knowledge base and reps and whatever. So, kudos to them, but it doesn't mean it was wrong for you to do what you did.
And by I say winning the event, I won the event, but they were better. Anyway, so that all said, I ended up going with, because I knew Val had a very large Orcs and Goblins army, I ended up swinging to Orcs and Goblins. We've seen some pretty decent results from vanilla Orcs and Goblins for a long time. LVO had that guy go undefeated and end up in third place, also beating Cathay, drawing Cathay. So I knew that if I took, especially with this heavy push on secondaries, even though kill points was still the way to go, there was enough leeway there that if I took just a ton of goblins and then used things like Squig Hoppers and Fanatics to achieve board control, even for just a couple of turns in the early game, I could probably win games, eke out small wins against armies that would generally be better against me in a kill points only mission. And also, Orcs and Goblins are just fun to play. It doesn't feel bad for me to lose a game when I'm playing Orcs and Goblins, because 9 times out of 10, it was less because of my choices and more because of what my random shit decided to do last second. So it that helps too sometimes. So
lovely. So what was your list? Give us the rundown. Yeah. And feel free to pay credit to the gentleman who ran the similar archetype previously.
Yeah. So my list was I mean, I'll be honest. There's not a So it's a list that you've probably seen before or very close to it. I've got 2 Night Goblin big bosses. One is my battle standard bear with a war banner and troll hide trousers and a great weapon. He also had light armor. I decided to pay for that for the little guy. I had another big boss that was naked except for a great weapon, just because I needed another Night Goblin to access more fanatics. I had a Night Goblin war boss with a light armor shield on a giant cave squig with Wallopas, one-hit wonder, which is, for anyone at home not listening that doesn't know, once per game I can activate it, and he's strength 10, AP 3, always strike first, and then other times he's just got a magical hand weapon. And I gave him a Ruby Ring of Ruin. He was basically there to try to deal with mini ethereal threats because I knew that the Toronto meta has a ton of vampire players. And I wanted to have something outside of combat res. And then I had a unit, I had a Orc Weird Knob, level 4 with Elementalism, Lore Familiar, and Talisman of Protection. I wanted this to make sure I got access to all 4 Elementalism spells that I wanted, but also because the mission, because the secret objectives, there were a couple that were relatively easy that were magic based, one of them being just cast 3 spells in a turn. So being able to have access to that one on a guy that casts on a natural +3 as long as he's in a unit of orcs just felt like an easy secret objective if I couldn't think of another one to take. I then had 3 units of 30 Night Goblins with shields. I did make a mistake here in my list building, but I decided not to take it back. All of them had champions and musicians. They were supposed to have champions and standards, but I just didn't play with them as having standards the whole tournament. It's the lack of combat res sucked a couple times for me, but also there were a couple games where there was only, I think, 2 games where I lost any units of Night Goblins to close combat. So not giving up those 50 points for the standard bearer was also kind of nice. So it kind of evened out in the end. I then had a unit of 25 orcs with warbows, light armor, full command with the Thinking orcs at, so they weren't impetuous, and the big red raggedy flag. That was what I was putting my weird knob in. 3 goblin bolt throwers, 2 doom divers, 2 rock lobbers, 2 mangler squigs, and then 2 units of 8 goblin squig hoppers with cab spears. And I did pay for light armor on them, and usually I would say that was a mistake, but it came in handy multiple times in the tournament. So there were a couple of secret objectives that required you to have that I did pick as options. One of them was to have a unit with unit strength of 15 or more end up in your opponent's deployment zone at the end of the game. So having an 8-man squad and having the whole unit survive was good for that one. And then there was another one to have 2 units of unit strength 10 or more end up in your opponent's deployment zone at the end of the game. And so that was another one where having some guys that could possibly survive was great to have. And that was the list. Oh, and 2 mangler squigs. I can't remember if I said them.
You did,
which sucked. Mangler squigs are the worst. They were literally the one thing every game but one. I was like, why did I take these? They are just a liability.
And then what happened in that one game?
In one game, they killed 6 guys, but it was 6 guys that needed to die. So I was really happy with them. The one mangler that did anything, but every other game they literally did nothing. So.
Did we play 3 practice reps into each other? Or was it 4?
You played 3 with me, yeah,
and with this the whole time we were playing, we were like, man, manglers suck. But you're not paying for damage, you're paying for psychological potential. I think
there's psychological potential, and their ceiling is insane for 95 points. It's just they never hit it.
Yeah,
never hit it when you need it.
But you don't tell your opponent that they do nothing all the time. You tell them what they could do. And then they're like, oh, gee, I have to respect that. Little do they know they should disrespect the crap out of that.
Yeah, and when I go over the games, I'll talk about it. But I will say, my final game, a mangler almost cost me the whole game because I played him like an idiot. Both my manglers actually almost cost me that game. One because he just sucked, and the other one because I was so frustrated with not doing anything with him that I mispositioned him on a bad turn. But anyway,
compounding issues, mate. It sounds like a skill problem.
Part of it was skill for sure. The second one was definitely skill.
All right, let's run us through a couple of your matchups, and then we'll disseminate a few.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I can run you through all of them. So one thing I'll say about this event was all of my opponents were awesome. There was not a single one where, like at the end of the round, I was pissed off or thought, wow, that guy was garbage, which kind of sucks because part of the scoring that we did was a sportsmanship score, and it was purely just a ranked one you did at the end, ranking your opponents from best to least. And it was hard because like there were 2 or 3 guys there for sure that in any other scenario I would have given 5s. They were awesome opponents. We had great games, big smiles on both their faces when the games ended. And like my worst opponent, it would have been a guy that I would have said was above average in any other event. Like, so the guy I gave a 1-2 probably would have been a 3 or a 4 anywhere else. It was just like I had to rank him, right? So, so my first round, I get paired into a guy named Attila, and he was just hilarious. Attila was a vampire player. He named all the guys in his army, which you guys know I love. He wrote like a short story about his army at the bottom of his list. He came in wearing a wizard hat. And he was running 6 screams. He had 2 banshees, 2 terrorgeists, 2 mortis engines.
Oof.
Big block of skeleton warriors. So no graveguard at least. And then he had a couple corpse carts to like keep compounding his reses and give him a couple extra spells. And it was really fun because we met up, we shook hands, we started talking about our lists. And he's like, yeah, I've been looking at the other lists here and I feel really bad for bringing something so competitive. And I was like, yeah, and I don't know if he just didn't realize my list was actually very competitive. Actually, I know that because of what happened after the first round, but so we were like chatting and joking around and we deployed. And then in my first turn, I got first turn. I killed one of his terrorgeists on my second shot. So one Doom Diver did 4 wounds to it. Second Doom Diver did 4 wounds to it. Rock Lobber put 4 wounds on his other terrorgeist. And then another Rock Lobber pinged, I think, his mortis engine for a couple wounds. So like everything hit other than my bolt throwers. And like as soon as that turn was finished, he was like, "Oh my god!" It was just like that was insane. And so he had to play way cagier. I felt really bad. So after this game, because we talked it through, I won 19-1 when the game was all said and done. I played around his screams a lot. Like I just always made sure that I was kind of positioned that I was always in bubbles and taking advantage of Warband when I needed to. And I kind of and I was very sure to get rid of his Steed of Shadows constantly, so his Banshees couldn't fly. And it meant that he only got off like 2 really good screams. And of course, they were against my Mangler Squigs, so they died turn 2 before they did anything. Sorry, one of them killed 3 direwolves. He had 2 like small units of direwolves. One of them killed 3 direwolves, overran into his wounded terrorgeist, and then I had my other one random move into his terrorgeist, and then on his turn he screamed them both to death before they could have combat. So that was awesome. But anyway,
suck, buddy.
But the one thing that happened after the game, a couple rounds later, like we had a great time. He came to me. We had misplayed regen for him because, like, I remembered that he got his regen on his crumble, and we were doing all that. But we both completely forgot that on multi wounds, you regen each wound lost now, not just like the big one.
Oh, we did change that, yeah.
Yeah, so he might have had a Terrorgeist for like a turn longer. That said, when we talked about it a little bit, there were also like multiple shots near the end of the game on his Mortis engine where he might have lost it, but because he was only rolling once on the save and he made the save, it didn't. Yeah. But like his first 2 turns, he was just like not making that single 5-up. So I felt really bad about that. Still, like, it is what it is. I don't think there's any game that's actually perfect of Warhammer. I felt really bad about it, but he was super cool about it. He's like, no, dude, it's just great that we had this fun game. So really kudos to him. He was an awesome opponent. And like he mentioned, he was like, my shots were fire regardless. I did a ton of wounds. It was probably death to him regardless, but
yeah,
it sucks.
Yeah. It sounds like it was downhill skating after you popped off turn 1. And that regen save, may have saved him on some and been better on others. So it probably came out of the wash.
It was one of those things where I got 4 direct hits. So like the Terrorgeist was going to be dead regardless.
No matter what.
It was just like, probably I don't punk down another few wounds on his second Terrorgeist, but
yeah, but then you said his Mortis Engine may have lived for an extra turn longer because he.
Well, yeah. So he's like, so his Mortis Engine.
That's what I mean.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So we should probably take a moment here to explain how your list works. So having played against it, for me, it's a list that asks a really like very, very like in bold underlined set of questions to your opponent. Is like, well, can you win a shootout firstly versus this army? Can I stand back versus your army and win the shootout versus your 7 artillery pieces and arrow boys? And pretty legit magic phase. And okay, if I can't do that, then how do I go and kill those things? If I have to go and kill those things, I have to negotiate the manglers and the fanatics, which is a whole freaking playbook of trying to negotiate them, like trying to get them triggered, try to put yourself in a position where your opponent has to use them, but then in a position where him using them isn't going to end the game. Essentially, like, if I rock up like I did with my Bretonians, I'd rock up to like, yeah, cool, I can charge you next turn if you don't use the fanatics. But if you do use the fanatics and I have to charge through them, can I still perform? Because if I have to sit there for a turn in your face and wait for the fanatics some of the fanatics hopefully spin themselves out of the way, if I've gone second, that's a third turn of shooting that I'm taking from 7 artillery pieces.
Yeah, and it's also a third turn that I'm sitting on your objectives, because that was
right. That's the secret.
It was
all 3 of our games
for me in a lot of games was if I was playing against something I felt was more elite and that I couldn't just out combat res or keep in combat res for as long as possible, I could sit back for a turn and just try to blow them away. And then they were usually too scared of the fanatics and the manglers to come at me right away. And then if I was playing against something that I knew I could bully, or that I felt like I needed to bully in order to win, I would just shove myself right into the middle of the board with everything and say, come at me, and I'm going to sit on objectives as long as you let me, and I'm going to score, and that's how we're going to play this game out, right?
The conclusion I came to was like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, against your army. Like, if I sit back, I lose. If I go straight at you, though, if I go straight up the guts, straight into you, I give myself a chance to win. And so that's what I started doing versus you. And it ended up in all 3 of our games, we were usually within about 200 kill points of each other. Like, we killed around about, usually it was around the 900 to 1200 points we've killed of each other. Mm-hmm. And then you'd win on objectives every time. You were winning by like 300 points on it to my like 100, 200 points, because all my objectives holders were getting completely shredded while yours was sitting there slinging out a fanatic or 2 and then rotating, to another objective while you re-rack and stuff like that. And of course,
what armies did you play against this, Adam?
Double Bretts and Ogres.
Okay, cool.
So I was practicing my Bretts. So I was able to put him under immense pressure, being like, cool, you're going to shoot me because I'm going to pray, because I need to have the ward save versus the fanatics. Otherwise, the fanatics will just shred me to bits. So I need to hope that your turn 1 shooting isn't good, but at least it's only one turn of shooting, and it's not a turn of shooting and fanatics and manglers hitting me, which is what would happen if I didn't pray and still lost the roll. So I decided to pray both times with my Errantry Crusade, which I've ripped off of Luna's list from WTC, and I've kind of revamped it a bit more for singles. And so I realized I just had to play a really good movement phase and then freaking all in you on turn 2 if I could, and just accept the fanatics and the manglers. Because otherwise you just lose. You straight up just lose. If you respect the fanatics and the manglers too much, that's what this list wants you to do. It wants you to sit back and be scared to commit, and then you just get chewed out. You just get worn down, chewed out. And it's always that the list you ran, Falcon, was always 1 turn away from, like, just like you said, doing that first turn versus vampire count and like breaking your opponent's back, just like removing like 1 to 2 of their best assets. and then all of a sudden you're too far behind anyway, and you probably would have been in the same position, but with active charges and shooting and a better offensive magic phase if you just decided to disrespect. And it's not disrespect; it's accept. I accept your fanatic damage. I accept things are going to go badly for me, but I have to just hope you don't rip sixes on your fanatics. And it is what it is. It's a really cool dichotomy you put your opponent into. But anyway, what's the second game like, mate?
Yeah, so that all said, my second game, there were some issues with pairings in a couple of the rounds, so it looks like I was going to have to play against vampires again, against Caleb Edwards, who's a really awesome guy who I've met many times and had great laughs with. But instead, after I get repaired, I end up against a guy named Carlo, and Carlo is running almost the same list as me. So it's a mirror. The only difference is instead of an orc weird knob, he's got a night goblin odd knob. So he's going full night goblins with this list. And then instead of 2 big bosses and a war boss, he's got 2 war bosses on cave squigs. He has 2 units of goblin wolf riders, 2 minimum units of them, 4 bolt throwers and to my 3. He's got 3 squig hopper mobs and to my 2. And he had and that was kind of the list. And then the same amount of 2 doom divers, 2 rock lavas, 2 mangler squigs. Oh, and he had poison on one of his night goblin units and bows. So the big points drop, which isn't that big, that I had in my orc arrow boy unit, he split that up about around a number of smaller units to kind of try to play a more finessey game against me or against his opponents. And this game was really cool. He had more drops than me because he had all these wolf bobs and everything. So I got the +1 to go first. This was a battle line deployment, and I had a really big castle in the middle of one side of the board. And when he was deploying, he put both his wolf rider mobs in drilled formation on either edge of the board. And so I ended up lining up a bolt thrower on each flank in hopes of killing both those mobs turn 1. And I picked a secret objective that was to cause a unit strength 10 or more to panic from an artillery shot, basically. So I ended up getting my secret objective turn 1 because that's exactly what happened. After I deployed, I got to go first. I shot a bolt thrower down the line of a unit of wolf riders who are leadership 4 when they're not near a general, and they fled off the board. So it was easy points for me there to get my secret objective right away.
Yeah.
Must be nice,
and then
must be nice.
Yeah, and then because I went first, my plan here was we have basically the same artillery. I have a better core brick than his. So I'm going to shove everything into the middle of the board because this was a 3 objective mission, 3 right in the middle, to force him to come to me if he wants to play. And then I'm going to just try to kill his artillery before he gets to kill mine. And that's exactly how it played out. I pushed all my units into the middle. I had a Doom Diver blow up one of his Doom Divers, I believe, and one of my Rock Lobbers blew up one of his Rock Lobbers. So I was already ahead by 2 pieces of artillery when the game started. Then he ended up his other Doom Diver, I think it was, maybe it was his Rock. I think it was his Doom Diver. He misfired and blew up on his turn. So I had a really strong advantage now on the artillery side of things. And because of that, he played a little too passively. So his first turn, he stayed back. He shot at me a bunch with his poison arrows. He was using the Wog magic, so he was giving himself AP1 on the shots, and he kept reducing my toughness with Itchy Nuisance down to 1 and 2 on my Orc boys. So he was picking up 6-ish Orc boys a turn because I just could not cast Earthen Ramparts for the life of me this whole tournament, by the way. Just never got it off. But anyway, it was still too slow of a grind. And it was only on turn 3 that he really decided to shove into my face. Meanwhile, we've both killed each other's mangler squigs. I've been just pulling back my squig hoppers and pulling them back, trying to drag him closer to me with his, because he had more squig hoppers than I did, until I finally got into a point where he kind of until I finally got that like long bomb. So I had one roll where I got like a 17 on a unit, hit his. I lost half of them to dangerous terrain tests on the way in, but then because of initiative and impact hits, I killed his unit and got to keep doing my thing. And then on the other side of the board, just by like being cagey and pulling back, I eventually got to a point where all of his like his two characters and his other units of squig hoppers were all in like kind of poorly positioned, and I was able to one at a time clear them off with my other squig hopper unit and my single war boss. On top of just having the artillery game, so I could spend a turn like dropping a doom diver on a war boss's head who doesn't really have any saves, you know, other than a charmed shield. So I kind of like slowly ground him down, and by the end of the game, like when he finally came at me, even though my orc unit was pretty low, he didn't have enough time to eke back the points. I won on secondaries pretty handily, and I won on primary by a little bit, and it was enough to give me like a 16-4 win. But he was a really great opponent. He got a little salty, not with me, because he said it himself. It's like, these are the dice. But when his Doom Diver misfired and blew up turn one, he was like, well, this is just like the worst. Like, because he really needed a clapback and he just couldn't do it. So
I feel that, man. I feel that. Although I did say to you, and I know the game is coming, where in the 3 games we played, not one of your war machines killed itself. Not once. Not once did one of your war machines even like roll less than a 4. And I'm like, you're due, mate. You're due. You're saving up all your misfires.
Yeah,
they're all going to hit in one freaking game.
I will say it wasn't in one game. Like, they definitely blew themselves up over multiple games. Like, even this game against Carlo, by the end of the game, I believe I'd had 2 kill themselves. It was just like, because they didn't happen right away, I got so much more value out of mine than he did. So yes, because I do believe I had 2 explode over the course of the game, and then in my final game, I lost 1, and then in the next game we're about to talk about, I lost too many.
Well, go on, lead on, mate.
Yeah, so my next game is into the only Cathay player at the event. Initially, there was a lot of talk that we're going to be a bunch of Cathay players here, but for some, it was painting, but I think for more, from what I gathered, there was just such a stigma around Cathay that nobody brought them except for this guy, Alex. He's a very new Warhammer Fantasy Battle player. He doesn't know the rules super well, but he's been practicing and playing a lot. I've talked to him a good amount on Discord. He's a really sweetheart guy. Terrifying to meet in person because he's a professional bodybuilder and he's built like a Mack truck. But just like actually like the nicest guy. Yeah. And so we paired up. Originally, I was paired into Wood Elves. And this was another one where something happened to the pairings and they had to repair us. And that sucks because while I knew the Wood Elf player, like looking at the lists, I felt pretty comfortable playing versus him. Given that like I don't care about Forest Dragons so much and he only had one of them. And then I again end up into Cathay. And Alex is a pretty brutal, efficient Cathay list. He's got his 2 lanterns. Yeah. He's got 2 Shagengan Lords. Instead of taking one that was super defensive, though, he went all out on Combat Lords. Yep. And then he had like 2 big bricks of Jade Lancers and his triple cannon. So this matchup really sucks for me. Also, the deployment, not great for me. However, I managed to roll to get to pick sides. And there was like the biggest, it was like I think it was supposed to be represent like a mine, but it was a piece of blocking terrain that was insanely huge on the board. And where it was placed, it was directly on an angle for what would have been a hill in a deployment zone. So I picked the opposite deployment zone. And that really screwed up Alex. He basically had to deploy all of his cannons on the ground. So at least I could give myself an extra layer of protection against that kind of shooting, which I desperately needed. And so
by that you mean because they weren't on a hill, you could block your artillery pieces with like your bricks of night goblins, and you have
exactly
to
because like, I don't require line of sight for mine. Sure, I'm not going to get direct hits, but I don't mind scattering when I'm shooting at like lanterns with gigantic bases and stuff, right? Because the chances are I'm still going to get a direct hit.
Yeah.
And also, I ended up having a hill in my deployment zone, so that was even better. So I could protect a couple of my war machines. It was a very small hill, but it was enough. And the way it was built, I could put my guys on it in such a way that, like, if I left a unit of night goblins in front of it, Alex really couldn't target those particular war machines with his cannons, because like if he put the cannonball on the mountain, right, it can't bounce; it just explodes on the mountain. He has to put it on the war machine itself and then hope to roll a 2 or a 4, basically, because anything more and it goes off the board. So I knew those two were pretty safe, but the rest of them were fair game for him to kill, as were like my manglers and everything else. So he gets to go first. He's deployed everything. He puts his 2 lancers into reserve. This was a mission also where it was like meeting engagement where you had to roll a die, and on a 1, units didn't come in until the second round. However, in this case, it was only infantry and cavalry units that were not characters, and you could choose to have a character join them in reserve if you rolled. So I ended up having one of my Night Goblin units and one of my Squig Hopper units start in reserve, which wasn't too bad. I wished they'd started on the board just to have a better chance of blocking out his ambushers, but it wasn't the end of the world. So he gets his first turn. He's got his 3 cannons lined up. His first cannon misfires immediately. He re-rolls it, and it just he overshoots what he was shooting at. So I feel pretty good. Second cannon goes off. He misfires again, and then rolls that into a misfire. And gets that he cannot shoot this turn or next turn and loses a wound. So that's huge. And then his third cannon misfires on his first shot. So he uses his ogre loader, re-rolls it into a hit on one of my doom divers and blows up the doom diver. So
did you like when you saw the repairing, did you immediately like go out, get a bunch of kittens in a sack and throw them into a river as a sacrifice?
Dude,
how did you make this
what
happen?
I will say to you is, as soon as the repairing hit, I looked at Val and in blind rage over that repair.
How did you make this happen?
Because to me, I knew that I had a game into Cathay. I also knew Alex was a newer player. And by the way, we had an amazing game. We talked a lot about rules. I wanted him to have a good experience, even though he was playing like a bullshit list. I didn't care. It was also our slowest game. It took Alex a while to get set up. This was I had 2 games not finish. This game went to round 5, and it was mainly because we didn't start rolling dice until 40 minutes into the round. Otherwise, we would have completed. And then my final game, but that was because it got so intense. We were both taking a lot of time trying to figure out plays. In the end of it. So Alex took a long time getting ready, and I ended up having to deploy all the terrain and stuff. So we didn't finish the game. We only got to turn 5. But anyway, so that first turn is great for me. Going to my turn, I'm like, okay, I've got all my artillery but 1. His Shugengan Lords only have a 3-up, 5-up. So if I hit anything, I'm going to start doing some wounds. This is great. So I kind of shuffle some stuff around, try to reposition so that he can't ambush anything in shitty places in my back line, because I'm pretty thin due to losing 2 units. And then my first Doom Diver, the one that is still alive, I try to template on his general, one of the Shugengan Lords, misfire, roll a 1, it dies. So I'm like, well, that sucks a lot. Let's go to my Rock Lobber. Oh, no, sorry, this was my Rock Lobber. I go to my second Rock Lobber. This time, same thing. Put it on a Shug Lord. Misfire, roll a 1, it dies. So now I've lost both my Rock Lobbers and one of my Doom Divers, so the majority of my shooting power is gone. Luckily, my Doom Diver doesn't explode. My other Doom Diver, it kills his cannon that already has 2 wounds. But that one wasn't going to shoot the next turn anyway. I was just I needed to get something off the board. My bolt throwers whiff. We go into his turn, and then from that point on, I am just holding on for survival. He told me the one army he got some practice games in against for the tournament was my list, because someone had told him that it was like a list he needed to be careful about. If he didn't know how to play against it, he could lose. So he like never engaged me. He kept, even though his Shug Lords were built for combat, he picked all magic missile spells when he got the chance to roll for them, and he stayed back and he just like pummeled me with magic missiles, and he let his 2 lanterns do most of the damage work. And even though his cannons failed him, that was enough because like his lanterns went off. That his one lantern that had dragon fire bombs, there was a turn where it killed like 21 night goblins out of a unit of 30 between its bombing run and just regular shooting. There was it was dumb the amount of damage this one model was putting out. And then I could not dispel a magic missile for the life of me. His 2 Jade Lancer units had rings of jet. Every time he would roll it, get it off. And like we were laughing by the end because every time it would be like, I got 16 hits. He'd roll like 665 or 664. And I'd be like, are you f***ing kidding me? Another like ridiculous ring of jet thing, this 30-point unit. So like he had a ring of jet blow up one of my bolt throwers. Another one like blew up a mangler squig. It was just like constant, just insane damage coming out from these magic missiles. But I was holding on. He misfired again on one of his cannons and lost it. I believe I killed another one with the Doom Diver. I eventually just had to release Fanatics to try to slow him down. There was a turn where he had put his Jade Lancers like right into me off of ambush, and I ended up just launching like 6 Fanatics into them, but like barely wounded him because they just whiffed completely, which sucked.
That demonstrates the point I said previously. You can get hit by 6 Fanatics and they can do sweet F-all. And you kind of the list.
Yeah, but the math is not that should happen. But regardless,
that has not been my experience facing down 6 Fanatics personally.
Me either. But you need to give the opportunity. You need to give yourself.
I'll tell you guys this.
Otherwise, you do nothing.
Game, there was not a single Fanatic that lived. I think only one Fanatic. Yeah, one Fanatic lived past the second round after it was out. All of the rest of them died either to doubles or to running into terrain after the first round. The one that lived was basically the one that honestly fully cost me the game. So anyway, so I'm doing all this, but he's still playing really cagey, and I'm taking that to my advantage to grab objectives. So I'm building up an objective lead on secondaries. He's definitely beating me on primaries, but he hasn't killed enough yet where I'm out of the game. Like I'm looking at it and he's like got a 12-8 or a 13-7 at best. And I'm just like, I just got to hold on. So on the final round of the game, we know we're not going to get to a turn 6. So we're both kind of playing our turn 5 for keeps. My orc unit had lost about 12 orcs to a miscast in the first or second round. So they were already down to like 13 guys, but I hadn't really lost any since. So I have 13 orcs left in the unit and my general and my BSB. And yeah, I think it was like that. No, there was more. Yeah, regardless. So start of his turn 5, one of my Fanatics, my last Fanatic, goes backwards through the orc unit, kills 5 orcs. So now I'm down to 10 orcs in the unit plus my characters. His Sky Lantern goes off and kills like 8 of those orcs. And then he magic missiles the other ones and manages to put 2 wounds on my general and a wound on my BSB before the turn ends. Luckily, those 2 characters to survive, but that gets him his secret objective at the very end, because his secret objective was he had to kill a unit that at the start of the round was unit strength 10 or more in his shooting phase.
Yep.
So, okay, he's got his secret objective. I have the exact same secret objective. He's got that unit of Jade Lancers that's got like, I think 5 guys left in it. I believe I'd killed 2 of them with all those Fanatics I'd sent at him. So, and it's it's like holding I think it was holding a quarter. I believe this was domination was part of this one. So, and they're also kind of holding a quarter. So I'm like, I gotta kill them down. Oh no, they were holding an objective. So it's like, if I can kill them down, he loses that objective. And I will get
Your secret objective.
My secret objective, and then hopefully that's enough to make this a game. So I hit him with a bolt thrower that goes down his line, kills 3 of the Jade Lancers. So now he's only got 2 left in the unit. I'm like, awesome. My Doom Diver whiffs. I move my wizard over, wind blast the 2 remaining guys, get 2 wounds through. He saves them both on 5-ups. So I'm like, okay. My next bolt thrower goes, I hit, I wound, I kill the first guy, and then he makes a 6-up save on the second. And then the rest of my shooting whiffs. So basically his 6-up armor save saves me, keeps me from getting that secret objective. I did knock him off the objective. So in the end, we start tallying the points. I win secondaries barely. He wins primary 13-7. So because I win secondaries, I immediately take 3 points from him. So it becomes a 10-10 game. And then his secret objective makes it 11-9. So like his last shots of the game and my last shots of the game are what determine who actually win this game.
Dude,
so
that's
it was
sick. That's a great game.
odd. Like we had a great, like we loved it. We were both shaking hands and like it was just how tight it ended up being. You know, that said, if we've been able to play 6 rounds, I mean, our probably our last rounds would have changed for both of us. I probably lose like 13-7 because I don't have much left on the board to deal with. He wasn't in a good position to like do a whole lot more. So, but he probably would have then beaten me on secondary or tied me on secondaries. And yeah, that's what we have. But yeah, it was a really amazing game. Kudos to him. Like he definitely has places to learn and he was very aware of it. Like I helped him with a lot of rules. And like there was a couple things he did that, you know, maybe a different player could have done differently, but he played really tight. And I wanted to help him. So I wasn't trying to screw him over in any way.
Yeah.
Well, like there were a couple times he'd be like, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, well, you really shouldn't. Like, you know,
well, we might get you to smash through your last 2 games in quick order, and then I'd love to unpack a couple of the lists in the top 5. Like we've got the Wood Elf list that came in 3rd, the Skaven list that came in 4th. I'd love for us to have a look at.
I'll try to do these quick. It's hard to do things quick because these were also amazing games. But
it's because it's you.
No, but these were all. So Christopher Gerardo is my 4th round play. So we're going to day 2. I'm supposed to play a guy who's on Orcs and Goblins, but in my opinion, a way worse Orcs and Goblins list. Also, he's the most amazing player just to play against, Alex Gavriloff. He's got like a weightlifting channel he does that's Warhammer devoted. Just the wickedest guy. Anyway, I ended up getting reappeared again because of Val.
What's with the Jimbros in your local area? Like,
well, not my local area. They live in. He's American. Travels up. You met Alex. You would have met Alex at the 8th edition event. Anyway,
cool.
So I get repaired, and I'm really mad because I get repaired into double dragon high elves. So it's 2 500-point dragon princes on star dragons with triple save and an opal amulet. And that's what I have to play against. Plus, Silver Helms and Illyrian Reavers, almost all of them have Rings of Fury, 2 units of Dragon Princes, also with Rings of Fury, 2 Lothern Skycutters. That's his list. And it's just like a brutal, efficient list that my list is going to struggle into. And I know it's going to struggle into it. And then I find out after the game begins, when Shane, who is the judge, Oz, comes over and he's like, oh, I've been coaching Chris on how to play. Like, he's one of my clients. I'm like, oh, even better. So the guy actually knows how to play his army. I'm turbo screwed. And we're playing corners. So like I can't spread out his damage. I have to like put everything in one spot and hope for the best. And if I fail a panic test, I'm going to lose my entire army. Anyway, we have this awesome game. Chris plays it super right away. He runs right at me and he like just marches everything. So it's 5 or 6 inches away from me. This was a game that was using also domination and baggage train. So he keeps a unit on his baggage train and then spreads out his like little 5-man units of Illyrian Reavers. And he's just doing what he's supposed to do. And I'm like, God damn it. So what I do is what I have to do. And Shane looks at me and thinks I do it wrong, but I know what I'm doing. I launch all of my fanatics on turn 2. Literally all of them.
The cloud.
My turn 1, I whiffed all of my shooting. None of it hit anything. So I was like, I have to stop this. So
Yeah.
I cover all of my good stuff with fanatics, and I say, like, if you want to charge me, you're going to die. I need you to just give me another turn where you're repositioning. Chris plays it smart and does exactly that. He flies both of his dragons like into little holes that he can fit them into in the middle of my army, basically, but I kind of left there. And then kind of leaves my fanatics to go at other stuff, which they do. I end up killing like 4 of the 5 dragon princes in one unit with some fanatics. I kill a unit of Illyrian Reavers with another couple of fanatics. And then a Mangler Squig gets off a really good charge. That unit of 5 dragon princes, they had charged a Mangler Squig. They'd overrun into it. And then the fanatic killed them all down to 1, so the Mangler could finish them off. And that let my Mangler go into his back line, which was the one time a Mangler did anything. But what this ended up doing was me creating the space. Was I was like, I don't care. I care about these dragons, but I should be able to hold them on combat res for a few turns, and I'm just going to try to kill everything else. So instead of targeting the dragons with my artillery, I was picking off his Lothern Sky Cutters. I was using like my Ruby Ring to do some damage. What the Ruby Ring killed a Sky Cutter from full in one round, which was great.
Wow, nice.
Damn.
Yeah, I had my Squig Hoppers. One unit of Squig Hoppers just died to Dragon Princes. It did no wounds, and then they just murdered them, which is fine. But the big turning point in this game, and like the best moment for both of us, there came a point he had his big dragon had like hit a unit in my deployment zone, and killed it, like a small, like it was one of my pieces of artillery, and then had reformed to face my night goblins. And then on my turn, I looked at him and I was like, hey, I'd reformed my orcs to face him so he couldn't rear charge my orc unit or flank charge my orc unit. And then I looked at it and I was like, hey, I want to make sure, is that what you actually wanted to do last round? Because like if you had stayed where you were previously instead of like forming the way you did, you'd be safe. But right now I can wind blast you off the board. Because he was like,
because he tilted his base, and so he's 2.5 inches closer to the back table edge. Yeah,
so, and I was like, I just want to let you know. And he's like, well, I don't think I could reposition properly because of where all your guys were, and I don't want to put them back, so I'll just take it. And I was like, are you sure? Because this feels really bad to me. And he was like, no, I did what I did. So I wind blast him.
What a lad.
Anyway, I wind blast him. He measures it out again. He's like, actually, I think I'm like right on the edge. And we measure it out, and it's close. So we get a judge to come over, and Shane comes and he looks, and he's like, yeah, I don't think he goes off the board. Like, it's as close as you can possibly get. But then Shane's like, you did say you reformed. There's nothing stopping you from saying that your shaman is actually like one dude over in the unit, and then he is off the board. And I just like say, no, I'm not going to do that. That feels even more dickish. Let's just play it like this. Your dragon is safe now. You'll know never to do that again, type thing. And I'm like, I'm too nice a guy. And we play the rest of this thing. He charges my night goblin unit that are in a forest, so they don't get ranks anymore because of disruption. He wins combat barely. Because I challenge him out with my champion, I end up by going out of the forest. So I only had like 2 goblins left in the forest. So I'm no longer disrupted. He follows up. So on the next round, I challenge him again with my naked big boss, which he kills with his Elven Lord on top, doing the minimum amount of wounds. He only does 2 wounds.
Ooh,
And because of that, I win combat by like 3 due to combat res. And he breaks. He rolls dub 6s.
Oops.
And because he's in the very middle of my whole army, he runs off the board because there's like unless he rolled a double 1 on his break, like there was nowhere to go. So he bounces through my entire army and dies. And that really turned the whole game. So now he basically had to play the rest of his game with just his like general, who I'd already kind of plunked a few wounds off of here and there. So that was the end of that game. He was a beautiful sport. Also, I think he won Best Painted Army, and it was gorgeous. It was like a cherry blossom themed high elf army.
Oh, nice.
He had a gorgeous display, like just an amazing guy. Chris was. Can't say enough good about him. And then we go into my fifth final game. I kept telling Val and Shane, please pair me into something easy. This has been a nightmare. Every game has been hard. I have not had a break. I've watched like your top table players get to play stuff like Lizardmen, and I'm sitting here against this nonsense. And so they said, haha, sure. Here's vampires again. And it's I end up playing
anyway, here's vampire counts.
Christian Jeremy. Christian's a friend of Val's. They play regularly, I'm told. Val says he's never beat Christian. So I'm like, this is all awesome. Thanks for leading me up to this. Chris is playing like a vampire count with the Crown of the Damned, Illusion, only level 1, but that's his general on a zombie dragon. Then he's got his Mortis Engine Necro, a White Lord, some skeletons, a bunch of Graveguard with great weapons, a small unit of Spirit Hosts, some Blood Knights, and some Vargeists. And in this game, Christian, I made a few mistakes.
And one Banshee, right? Yeah, one Banshee.
Only a single Banshee, yeah. So he wasn't trying to do a lot of screams. But I made a couple mistakes early on. They were very small, but Christian's a very good player, and he capitalized every time. So I was feeling it really hard in this game. Also, he had a 4-up ward on his Vamp Lord, and I really shouldn't have been targeting him. But turn 1, I ripped 6 wounds off the Vamp Lord, and so I was like, he's almost dead, guys.
Yeah.
And every turn after that, I would rip 3 wounds off of him, and then he would heal 2. And so by the end of the game, like that Vampire Lord had almost died multiple times. And I feel like if I targeted like the Vargeists and stuff instead, I probably had a much better game. But I was so close to killing his general over and over again. And the math was that I probably should have at some point. But, he spiked a couple more 4-ups than normal. And that's like something that's just going to happen, right? But yeah, anyway, it was an awesome game. It was really tight. There were a lot of really awesome plays between the two of us, I would say. There was a point where he's like I beat back his zombie dragon multiple times. There was a point where I had to do like a crazy reform to be able to face like as many units as possible, which I think caught him off guard that I was in a position to do it. And then like launch fanatics out of my butt and do other crazy things to just try to keep me in the game. So by the end of the game, the big mistake I'd actually made was with one of my manglers. I had a mangler that just couldn't roll more than a 7 the whole game. So I tucked him in a forest, behind a forest, so that he just wouldn't be charged from the zombie dragon. And in the hopes that eventually he would roll more than a 9 and I could do something with him. But where I tucked him, I was also trying to keep him out of arc of a unit of Blood Knights. Okay. And the Blood Knight, and there just came a turn where I rolled low, didn't even think about it. I was just like, whatever, I'm just going to keep him where he is. But by that point, he'd rearranged his zombie dragon to a point where he had a line of sight on one of my bolt throwers, which was in that forest, barely, like it was like a millimeter into the forest, that I'd done purposely so I could shoot through the forest. And as soon as I said, like, I'm not going to move him and went into my next phases, I looked and I was like, the way that zombie dragon's positioned now, if he charges that
bolt
thrower, he's going to kill it, overrun into the mangler, which he couldn't do before. And then he's got like free reign on my back line. So I had to like reposition everything with TMPs and shit, but it's like, it cost me a lot. And he still managed to like kill the mangler and get in a really good position because of it. Where if I had been smart and just like moved 2 inches over, none of that would have happened. Anyway, very small mistake, but it mattered. So the end of the game comes. His top of 5, he kills a unit of night goblins, which my mathing puts him at like a 13-10 now, where before he was at about an 11-9. And I know he's winning secondaries by 1. He's held 1 more secondary objective than I have. And this mission, we had objectives that you had to hold at the beginning of your turn for points. And then there was a special feature in the middle, which was worth 100 points at the end of the game. So I realized I had to capture the special feature in order to swing secondaries. He had a unit of zombies that were within the 6 inches, but only like 5 of the guys were within 6. And so I measured some things out. I realized one of my Night Goblin units, I had 2 remaining. One of them was within, was like 11 inches away from it. So if I managed to get a march off, I would be the same distance away as those zombies from the center objective. So I had to pass a march test, march them around a unit of Graveguard, put them in position, and then kill 5 zombies. And if I can do all that on my final turn, I swing secondaries and maybe I win this game.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I did. Luckily, I was I reformed my orc unit so that my shaman was within 12 of the Night Goblins. So they got like leadership 8 or 10 or whatever for the march test. They got it. I marched them into position so that they were equidistant from the zombies. I then shot the zombies with my arrow boys, shot them with my one remaining doom diver, hit them with a bolt thrower, and like barely managed to kill 5 zombies. They decided to be the toughest unit of zombies in the world. And then so I killed enough, and then when we measured it out, he was like he decided we were about as equidistant as we could be. And I just had more guys within 6, basically, is what it came down to. So I got that and got secondaries. And that put us at a draw, a 10-10. And then I had gotten my secret objective, which was to have a unit strength 15 or more in his deployment zone. I basically, from turn 1 forward, I marched a unit of squig hoppers up there, and I just avoided everything else with them. And then he was like, well, I got mine too. And then he re-looked at his list, realized he didn't get it because he had taken Beast Hunter. And which all he needed to do was kill the Mangler Squigs to get it. And then he realized on his list, he'd never actually picked Beast Hunter as one of his possible secret objectives. And so I was like, well, if there was another one you would have gotten, like, please, I don't want to win this way type thing. And he's like, no, like literally none of the other ones I could get. So that was it. Like I won on the secret objective. And it was like really awesome on his part for saying, like, cause there's like, I would never have looked, but like really good on him to be like, oh shit, I just didn't even have that type thing. Cause I remember when he killed the second Mangler, he's like, I got my secret objective. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. Well, now I've got to play even tighter type thing. And then at the end, he's like, oh, cause he flipped it and he's like, that's not Beast Hunter. And he showed me like something else. I think it was the one that was like dispel a spell using your faded or something like that. Anyway, and he was like, well, why didn't I put it? And then he was like, oh, now I know. It's because I didn't even have it. Anyway, it was an awesome game. It was like, that was probably my favorite game of the day, just because like while Alex and I had a similarly close game, like Christian like knew how to play the game. And that just kind of made it even more challenging. And it was just like a sweet, sweet thing. So
awesome, man. I'm so stoked you had just a good run. Even if you you played against hard opponents, hard lists the entire time. And
it was great.
Still had a great time. In fact, sounds like you had an even better time because of it, even though you are a bit of a whingy, you know.
Yeah, like anytime you make me play against something hard, I'm gonna whine the whole time.
Yeah, and then you're gonna do fine, you jerk. In retrospect to your list, anything you change? Like obviously you wanna drop the Manglers. What would you say you would put in instead?
Another like 30 Night Goblins. What I'd probably do is take another big boss, take another 30 Night Goblins, and then I'd probably put like...
How many units do you have right now?
3. You can have one.
You can go to 4. Yeah.
So like I'd probably take another naked big boss and like another 30 Night Goblins, find some points somewhere else, because I felt like the rest of the list was quite solid. Like even in retrospect, I'd probably still play it almost exactly the same, just because like the Manglers can do something, right? It's not like they're bad. I know I say they're bad all the time. Like
95 points of potential is what you're paying for.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to unpack 2 of the other top performing lists. The first of which I'm going to do myself. This is Danny Stewart's Skaven, and then I'll get Danny to do the Wood Elf of Eric, because he'll give us the better insights. So the Skaven list of Danny Stewart came in 4th, only dropping 1 game in the last round. I believe that's correct.
Yep.
What did he go down to?
He went to the eventual winner, the Warriors of Chaos list.
The Warriors of Chaos list. So he's got, man, this is a list of all time. Gracie at level 4, Demonology, Power Scroll, Lore Familiar. I really like that kit. Skaven Chieftain, Halberd, Shield, Light Armor, BSB, Storm Banner. I'm assuming he was expecting a lot more balloonage. And then Skaven Warlord with, Shield, Heavy Armor, Weeping Blade, Skaven Brew, and Paymaster's Coin. And then another Skaven Warlord with Ogre Blade and Paymaster's Coin. I love both of those. I think they're sick. 3x31 Clan Rats with a Rattling Gun each. Full command. And 4x31 Clan Rats. I'll say that again. 3x31, 1x21. The last one, the small squad, has a Warp Grinder instead of the Rattling Gun. Then 14 Giant Rats, and 36 Storm Vermin with a Courser's Shield on the Fang Leader and the Banner of Verminous Scurrying on the Standard. And so he's got essentially 5 bricks. 5 bricks, weapon teams, 2 units of 14 Giant Rats to play, keep away, funny buggers, redirect, stuff like that. Also great size for getting and holding objectives. And yeah, this is just a pretty good, well-rounded archetype for the Renegade players out there. Not every Renegade list can do something similar to this, where it's playing a bit of points denial, and always let's theoretically say you get a dragon into the Storm Vermin, you lose. You just kind of lose, and even if you stick, you're probably going to cop a unit of Clan Rats in the flank, and the Storm Vermin are going to follow up, and then so you lose the next turn, even if you make it through the first one. So this is it is a Death Star. It is 256, 140, 190, 192 plus 400. Yeah, it's well over 1,000 points in that unit. And then, how do you crack it? There are just armies that cannot do it. Unsurprisingly though, Warriors of Chaos is one that can do it, as demonstrated. But what do you make of this, Danny Boy first, and then Peter?
It's got a lot of these big units that can just kind of take the center of the table, take objectives. So it's good at playing on that. I like the unit that has ambush. That's slick. Peter and I talked about this a little bit the other day, and the Storm Vermin champion trick was really cool. Peter, why don't you tell people about that? I didn't know that. That's a new trick.
Yeah. Which one? The Cautious Shield thing?
Yeah, with the Cautious Shield.
Yeah, it's just like a Storm Vermin with a Cautious Shield and a hand weapon, has a 2-up armor save in close combat. Mm-hmm. So he's awesome for taking challenges from most units and surviving or reducing
the overkill.
Reducing the overkill and that's a big part of this. Dan's really good. Basically, 2 of those units are going to hold objectives or domination points. 2 of those units are going to be flankers and stuff for his Storm Vermin. And then the Storm Vermin, he's basically just going to rush at the biggest thing he can. His main goal is to cast Steed on them, so they're movement 12, right? Yep. Get right in your face. He's got Swift Stride on them. If he can pop the Storm Banner and then cast Steed, it's even better because now he has Fly and your opponents don't.
Yeah,
right. And that puts him in a really good spot. And then he can pop Skaven Brew or so that he has Frenzy. And then those 2 Warlords are putting out 6-7 attacks each, right? It gets pretty silly. It surprises people, right? Because they just Skaven's bad, it doesn't matter. And Dan's really good at board positioning and tying up units so that he doesn't, so he can challenge out the scariest things and avoid losing rats.
Yeah.
It's a great list, particularly in a game or an event that heavily swings on big core infantry units to score secondaries.
This is 100% built for purpose. This was 100% built for this pack and this mission structure, and he's nailed it. He's ticked every box. Even the 14 Giant Rats, I'd love to sit down and ask him how he got to the number 14, or is that just how many points he had left over once he'd gotten all the units that he wanted elsewhere. But yeah, I champion this. I think this is fantastic, man.
I mean, there's a lot, 14 is an interesting number. Mainly, for me, it's probably a combination of A, points, but B, when you consider how many random models you're going to lose to light shooting and still keeping your 10 USR, your 10 unit strength. It's probably around the number you kind of want to have. So
easy done. Let's have a look at that Wood Elf list. If you got it up, Danny, break it down for us.
I don't have it up. Sorry.
I gave you 5 minutes heads up that you
Can't even one job.
5 minutes. All right, this is Idek Drubek. He's got a on the nose 500-point Glade Lord, aspect of the Cat, General, Forest Dragon, Dragon Slaying Sword, and TOP. Glade Lord, great weapons, Swift Silver, Shards, Shield, Resplendence of Luminescence, and Annoying of Netlings, aspect of the Bear, Great Stag, Armor of Destiny, Luckstone, fantastic stag build. Spellsinger, Elven Steed, level 2, Battle Magic, Elementalism. Battle Magic and Elemental, whatever. Arcane Familiar, Ruby Ring of Ruin. 7 Glade Riders with True Flight and Reserve Move, of course, and a Champ. 10 and 5 Wild Riders. The 10 has the banner of the Hunter King. 4 Warhawk Riders with True Flight, Spirit of Kronos, and Champ. 2, and then 1, 2, 3 Beast Packs with a Beast Keeper and a Deepwood Hound. 19 points, freaking excellent. And then 20 Wildwood Rangers with the Wizarding Hat, Champion and Musician. And that's it. What the hell with the Wizarding Hat, boys, firstly?
What? Why? I mean, are you? Yeah, I don't get that at all. Do you see the combo, Peter? There.
I mean, it's he gets to pick one spell from one lore, and he ends up stupid because of it. I don't know. I'm sure he's doing it for some reason.
There's no way you would just put that in randomly. There's got to be a thought behind that. As for the rest of the list, I mean, I freaking love the Beast Packs. I love the Wild Riders. I love the 10 and the 5. I think that's a great split out there. 2 7s is another way you could do it, or a 7 and 8. I love the characters. The Spellsinger, I'm a little here and there on. I think you could easily redo this list without any spells, any magic, but I think a little bit's really good, especially when you're so fast, you can stay out of dispel ranges and stuff. And then, man, 1 super ticked Glade Lord on a dragon, and then 1 super ticked Stag Lord, I think the way I would do it right now too.
Yeah. He also had like a pretty interesting run. He played Demons in round 1, then he played Ogre Kingdoms in round 2, then he played a Mirror, but it was like an all Glade Rider and Wild Rider army for his round 3. And then round 4, he was up against Slayer Spam. So it was against. So he had like I would say he had a run that was mostly like interesting lists.
It looks like the ones you just reeled off. I'd be like, I would assume if he's a good,
I'm just gonna say this right now. If I had that run, I would have not been winding this full like fucking. Nothing against any of those guys, because I actually know like Eddie Crampton's a pretty decent player and who's on the Slayer host, but
you have very little control of the pairings, and so all you're going to be is like, good for me.
Good for me. And he did get dumped by Alex, the Cathay player, in his final round. But kudos to him for going. Like, I mean, he did still put up 20 O's and 19-1. So like, awesome job.
Yeah. He put the boots in. But yeah, Wood Elves versus Cathay is just very, very sad. Very sad. Yeah, whatever. It is what it is. But on that note, boys, anything else you want to talk about? Otherwise, before we go to part 2.
Well, I guess we should say, like, I did win best overall at the event. I never mentioned that.
Yes, I was not saying it on purpose to make you do it, and it worked. That was that was my secret mission for this show.
So
was to make
after talking up all those games against wonderful opponents, so the event best general did go to Warriors of Chaos. I ended up in 5th place based on battle points. I think there was like 6 or 7 of us that were 4-1. And then so the best overall was based on a combination of win record, battle points, sports scores, and paint scores. I had a paint score of 0 because I didn't bring my own army. So I was a little bit behind the 8 ball when it came to possibly winning best overall. Okay. But I'm told I scored out of a possible 25 points. I scored 17, and that was with one player that couldn't or didn't submit a sports score for me. So like the max I could have gotten was 20. And that was higher than significantly higher than almost every player in the top 10. So like I was pretty proud of that, to get a 17 out of 20 points for my sports score, because like I just really wanted my opponents to have a good time, and to beat them and still feel like they had a good time feels good to me. Like that meant more to me than anything else. I really had a fun event. I loved every single one of those guys I played against. It was just like there wasn't a bad experience or a weird vibe from any of them. So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'm stoked for you as well, mate. On that note, we are going to check out of here. Well done again to Peter, our boy, getting a best overall. And we're going to go over and record part 2. We're going to discuss some other bits and pieces, answer some Patreon questions. Hopefully, you'll join us over at Patreon at That Old World Charm. Gentlemen, say your good nighty nights.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to That Old World Charm with those charming chaps, Adam, Danny, and Peter the Falcon. Thanks ever so much. Cheerio.